that much, but I want to start off with where the big news is today, and that's in the NFL, where there have been a couple of big decisions made as far as some quarterbacks go. And that includes both Daniel Jones of the New York Giants and Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. And we'll start with the better player, bigger star, and that is Lamar Jackson. The Baltimore Ravens deciding to place the franchise tag on Lamar earlier today, as he is now off the market as far as a potential free agent with that franchise tag. There's been a lot of scuttlebutt, a lot of rumors, a lot of this and that over, oh my gosh, could Lamar end up with the Dolphins, or could Lamar end up here or there? And, more often than not in the NFL, guys pretty much stay put where they are, especially somebody his age, his caliber. The idea of him moving on is kind of hard to wrap your head around. But this was, the long-expected move on the part of the Ravens, as the trade deadline has now come and gone. It was earlier today at 3 o'clock. He's representing himself, and throughout this process, the reason why there's been so much scuttlebutt is because they haven't been able to come to an agreement. He became eligible over 2 years ago to receive a contract extension, but he wants something that's fully guaranteed, and you can look to Deshaun Watson as already having a ripple effect as far as contracts go. That massive deal that he signed with the Cleveland Browns for all of that guaranteed money, that is obviously playing into the minds of quarterbacks now signing their contract. Yeah, Deshaun Watson got that. But Lamar wanted a deal that is similar to that as far as the guaranteed part of it goes. So the Ravens use their non-exclusive tag. So that means that he can talk contract with other teams. And if he signs an offer sheet with, let's say, the Miami Dolphins, Baltimore then has the right to match that, or and match that would mean keeping him. Or if they decide not to match that, then they would get 2 first-round picks as compensation for losing Lamar Jackson. So he will end up making, on this non-exclusive tag, $32 million this season, which is just an insane amount of money, but it's obviously not as much as he feels like he's worth. And if he were to get about where he, wanted to be ballparked, it would be more like $45 million, so $13 million more dollars than he's expected to make.
Is it the top 5 average quarterback contracts or 10? Top 5.
Top 5.
All right.
Yeah.
So he would be looking at a top 5 average of 45. Instead, he'll play for 32. I know. We'd all be just fine making that amount of money, but it's not.
I'd have to have 45.
It's not part of the deal, and not going to count his money. But, Atlanta's another team that's been brought up as a possibility for him. Miami, obviously, being a Florida guy. But, what is y'all's thoughts on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens as the world turns?
I don't think he's going back there. Well, I think the Ravens, I don't think he wants to right now. I think the Ravens are betting on the fact that nobody is going to give him the Deshaun Watson contract, and there are 31 owners enraged at the Haslams for giving Deshaun Watson that contract.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly, and I saw Jeff Schwartz, former Giants offensive lineman, say this today, that the Browns didn't do this on purpose. They're not that clever as an organization to have torpedoed the franchise quarterback of the other team in their division. But I do think that's going to be the result, because I think Lamar Jackson's mad now because Lamar Jackson's been better than Deshaun Watson in almost every regard outside of, who's an actual better passer. But as far as wins and not getting in trouble and all these different things, you'd rather have Lamar Jackson than Deshaun Watson every single time. And here the Ravens, a really smart organization who doesn't really make mistakes, are now in this position where they have not been able to negotiate with him to their liking. Now, they really want him back, but clearly not enough. And he's not the exclusive rights free agent either, which means that he can go negotiate. So I think he's going to go and try to go somewhere else. And I think that a lot of these teams that are saying, we're not interested, are super interested.
No, you have to be. You have a good one. You don't want to lose him. Yes, the money's high. You're gonna, whoever you get that may be as good as him or better is going to cost you that much as well. 2 first-round picks are still possible. Like, you might screw them up. You may not. It may not work. I'll say this and I'll say it again. I don't know what the minimum starts might be. Maybe it's 100 games or 50 games. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Roger Staubach, and Lamar Jackson have the highest winning percentages, and I wish I could find the number of career games because there's others in that mix if you get more and more games played. But when you have one, you keep them. Now, here's my biggest complaint about Lamar Jackson, and this is silly. Watching ESPN discuss him on all the various shows, if I'm at the gym in the morning, they use the same damn video over the conversations. How long has he been playing?
Well, long enough to
How
where
many games has he played?
Long enough to where you can have 9 or 10.
Can you give us 8 or 9 new fresh touchdown clips or a couple of runs? But that's just off to the side.
Yeah, that's very much just finding something to complain about. But you can always hit up Deontay. He works out there, and
I will tell
him to freshen up the video footage.
You're right.
But
yep.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson certainly played in enough games now at this point to have more than one clip. I had not noticed that, but I mentioned the Dolphins. He's a Florida guy, Falcons as well. But you know, there are already teams, including those two, that have gone on record to, I believe Jeff Darlington was one of the reporters that had it out there, that the Dolphins, he had the Dolphins part of it, that the Dolphins say they will not pursue Lamar Jackson. The Panthers have said they will not pursue Lamar Jackson. I believe the Falcons have said they will not pursue Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson is available to be pursued thanks to that decision by the Baltimore Ravens organization. So we will see where this ultimately takes us. But, yeah, either way, he's going to be making bukus of money. And you just wonder, like, what else could he possibly do other than, like, just march them onto a Super Bowl to get a contract. But you also look at it from the standpoint of a team, it's $45 million a year, and maybe you feel like, hey, we win different ways than having one of the best quarterbacks. I don't know, though. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes here over the next few months.
Only Mahomes since 2017 has a better winning percentage.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones, signs a contract today. I don't know if you're going to get to that, but it does make the Ravens look like, okay, look, the Giants just went all out to make sure they didn't have to franchise Daniel Jones, and he just had his one good year. What is the holdup? I know the holdup is the money, but this should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah, you would think so. And yeah, I guess it's just eye of the beholder as far as, how you value the quarterback position and what you feel like should be, the route to go. But, yeah, Daniel Jones, you mentioned him. That was the other big story coming out of today, or one of the other big stories coming out of the day. And these last 24 hours as the NFL offseason chugs along and we start to count down to the draft coming up next month. The Giants not having as hard of a decision to make, I guess, as they went ahead and struck a deal with Daniel Jones and also made a decision on Saquon Barkley as well. 4 years, $160 million, the new deal for the former Duke Blue Devil and Daniel Jones. Meanwhile, the non-exclusive franchise tag was placed on Saquon Barkley. So all of the things that I just mentioned with Lamar Jackson as far as like, hey, you can talk and, there's an offer, you can match the offer. If not, that whole deal, that will apply to Saquon Barkley. He will make a little over $10 million next season under the non-exclusive franchise tender. Jones, his new contract, that 4 years, $82 million guaranteed at signing as a part of that deal. GM Joe Schoen said that they hope to retain both players, and that was made possible, I guess, their conversations to go ahead and move forward with Jones, who will still be enjoying his 20s for the next 4 years. So still a young player, but now has got a fresh new deal, and it remains to be seen what will eventually happen with Saquon Barkley. But he has had the tag placed, the non-exclusive franchise tag, and Jones is locked down for the foreseeable future.
His cap hit is $18.5 million in 2023. That's a steal.
Yeah.
The franchise tag would have been $32.4. So eventually, like in year 3, 4, 5, it's going to be some crazy number. But then again, to me, it all just disappears. It's just monopoly money.
Also, he has essentially signed Dak Prescott's contract. It's almost the same framework completely. So Cowboys fans can shut up about Dak being overpaid.
Of course, that's not going to happen, right?
I mean, it's all relative. Dak didn't get the Mahomes deal. If Dak got the Mahomes deal, Dak's overpaid. Dak now has the Daniel Jones deal, so Dak gets paid appropriately.
Yeah. I
Maybe
think
even underpaid.
That's more of a fair comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you're right. He might be underpaid based on what we've seen so far. So Lamar Jackson, that still is got some more to play out. Daniel Jones, however, the Giants have made their commitment. Meanwhile, the other team in New York, the Jets, apparently continue to have conversations with Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Have been doing so this week and talking trade, trying to get the 4-time MVP to the Big Apple and away from his only spot so far in his pro career there in Green Bay. But Jets officials, including their owner and Woody Johnson, head coach Robert Saleh, general manager Joe Douglas, and also their OC Nathaniel Hackett, did fly out to California today and met with Rodgers in person. However, it does remain to be seen on whether or not they might make a move and whether or not Rodgers will agree to whatever that move might potentially be. As far as he goes, he's not made really any public statements about what he plans to do moving forward. There's still rumors about him retiring, which I don't buy those. I think he's still got some football left in him. There's obviously rumors he could always return to Green Bay, even though talk is that that's just too strained to possibly come back. And then there's obviously the trade route as well. So Aaron Rodgers and the Jets keep on talking, and no deal struck, but maybe there will be one soon, or maybe this is all just one big flirtation and everything remains as is. But the Jets are certainly swinging big and hoping they land a big fish in Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I think my guess is that happens. I think that happens.
I think the issues of the contract, that's the biggest thing, is just trying to deal with the contract.
And I think they'll figure out a way to do that. That's probably, I don't know if that's good news or bad news for Zach Wilson. It's good news for the Jets if they can have them both, and maybe Zach Wilson can learn from Aaron Rodgers. As much of a space cadet as Rodgers is, I think he's a fairly good teammate now. I know Jermichael Finley might say differently. You interviewed Jermichael a couple years ago. Was that in Atlanta, Craig, where he was
I was in Atlanta.
Diboll, Texas.
Yeah, not like Jermichael Finley
Texas
could go to AaronRodgersNotAFan.com. Like that would have been his website because he didn't care for him at all. But I think it's been different for a lot. Like Devonta Adams loves him. Jordan Love has nothing but good things to say about him. everybody has their own thing. So, but I do think it's going to happen because I think Aaron Rodgers wants to play somewhere else.
Yep. So that is like probably the biggest story, I would think, of the NFL offseason is wherever Aaron Rodgers will potentially land, even if it's just right back where he has been. But that continues on. So a lot of going on with quarterbacks. Daniel Jones inks a long-term, big-time deal. Lamar Jackson's in search of one, but is being tagged in the meantime. And Aaron Rodgers trade talks continue on.
Deontay Epps.
There he goes.
What's tell him to get on it, Smokey.
There we
Hope
go.
y'all have been good. Deontay's a brother of our family. He's at ESPN in Bristol. Worked with us. Great guy. Started out doing things with us here at 365 Sports. Deontay heard it. Thank you, Deontay. We love you, buddy. We miss you.
Yeah, appreciate you, Deontay, and just in time, man. So, yeah, get on that for us if you would, so Smokey won't see the same Lamar Jackson video over and over again. But love you, buddy, and hope you're doing well. Meanwhile, Amazon